Yeah, let's do that real quick. Hold on. Hit record. Are you recording on the other thing?
Yes.
All right, now one,
We're gonna
two,
clap.
three, clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. Okay, great. So for all of you guys out there, that's for the podcast. I just revealed it. We're live on air. Starfleet
Yay.
Boy. This is a very special little side edition. Hopefully, it won't go on for our usual length of discussion. Although the doctor settled in with a bowl of ice cream over there, so we can.
Mhm.
What kind are you having?
This is the only ice cream I have. It only happens once a year around this time, which is the pumpkin pie ice cream from Publix. It's the only
Wow.
ice cream I buy, and it only comes out around October, November.
Well, there's a nice little plug for Publix.
There we
If
go.
you live somewhere where there's a Publix, check out the what is it? Pumpkin
Pie ice cream. Oh my gosh.
pumpkin pie ice cream.
Yes, I'm not a huge ice cream fan, but this ice cream is delicious.
I'm such a plain Jane vanilla kind of guy.
Mhm.
I only eat vanilla ice cream. I tend to favor. There's this brand here. I have a friend whose name is Alden, and I I tried this Alden ice cream, and it's like it's
I
organic.
didn't know there was an Alden ice cream.
Yeah, apparently. So it's organic and it's like whole milk and it's very, it's very creamy and yummy and it's delicious. So I really like that
Yeah, it
one.
tastes good. Right, it must taste good. Yeah.
So welcome to our Starfleet Boy updates discussion show. We could think of this as kind of like a captain's log episode, and I think we just want to follow up on some things that we've been talking about that maybe we don't have a chance to follow up on in the episode discussions. The first thing is, if you've been watching, when you watch this episode, because it won't premiere for a while, we talk about, well, why isn't Commander Riker's father at his wedding? Well, we found out that in one of the novels, Commander Riker's father, Kyle Riker, dies, and he actually dies saving Commander Riker. So nice little bow on the top.
Yeah, I think it's the novel is A Time to Hate, A Time to something or other. Gosh, I should have given that title, right?
To everything turn,
Turn.
There
Right.
is a season, turn. I want to ask you, Doctor. So we had a discussion about the state of the 50th anniversary. It sounds like you just muted yourself, so I hope that you corrected that.
What? You can't hear me?
No, now I can hear you.
Okay.
A little button came on your screen that's looked like the mute button, but I'm not
sorry
sure
about that.
Anyways, excuse me, and we were kind of left wanting with what we were seeing happening of the Star Trek 50th, but since then I've been kind of paying attention, and I think that like there is a lot going on for the Star Trek 50th. There's nothing that everyone has access to, and I still have a problem with that. I mean, it's mostly conventions and things like that. But on the other hand, I'm really enjoying the coverage of these events. Like Trekker Prize, which is a show. The young man from that, Gary, went to the Birmingham Star Trek convention, the destination.
Yes, I saw those pictures, right?
Yeah, the pictures, and he's got video, and there was all kinds of cool things. Like, did you know Armin Simmerman, Jeffrey Combs, and I forget, like 2 other people have a quartet and they sing Star Trek themed songs, which I thought was really cool.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and like it sounds like a lot of the different cast members from all the different eras of Star Trek are coming together for these events and showing up, and I am seeing the coverage online. So it's like there's not so much an official like event, so to speak, but now it makes me wonder, maybe after this year is over, the powers that be, Paramount, CBS, will take all this footage, put it together, and put out a documentary, not unlike Trekkers or Trekkies. What do you think?
No.
You don't think it's gonna? I think it's gonna happen.
No, I don't think it's gonna happen at all. No. And that's not what I want anyways. What I want is
retrospectives.
No, I want an adventure.
I That's right.
I want
Yeah, I
adventure.
agree with you. I want that too.
You know, Doctor Who gave us a perfectly well-rounded range of events over all media. And when I say
Yeah,
all media,
there were
I mean all media.
conventions. Yeah, you're
There were
right.
conventions, of course. There was like the convention that reunited like every living Doctor. They had in print and even on different tiers. Like there was short stories. There was some aimed at like kids, comics. Print was covered. Audio, oh yeah, absolutely covered twice over, as a matter of fact. And then of course, you know, on television slash movies, you know, you had the Day of the Doctor, which was shown in theaters, as you remember, and
Mhm.
so it was a theatrical event as well as a television event. And so there's just that really was the model in my mind
Whoa,
for
what was that?
what was what.
I think an advert. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I was on a web page and an advert came on in my ears. Go on, finish.
Oh, what Doctor Who did, the way BBC ran it, I think that was the model for all subsequent anniversaries, and I would apply that to just anything, any long-running science fiction series, even on film, you know. So Star Trek failed in terms of, you know, I know they had a film, of course, but I think we covered that. You know,
For
it
the
was
love of Spock. Yeah.
no, I mean they had Star Trek Beyond.
Oh, right. No. Well, yeah, but
See, we can't even agree on what the film was.
oh, by
Like,
the
there's
way,
no consensus.
by the way, there's an interesting thing. I was wrong about something. When we spoke about Star Trek Beyond, I was insistent that the crew photo that Spock kept, Prime Spock kept, was on Star Trek Six's bridge, but you were correct. It is the Star Trek Five cast photo and the bridge. So there's a correction.
That's true.
If we had to do a correction of everything wrong I've said, it would take a couple of these update episodes. So I'm gonna limit myself a little bit. But yeah, that's one that I recall. And then the other thing is that I guess we could talk about Star Trek Discovery because we did a whole episode devoted to that, and I think that was with Mr. Sater. But you and I have had several discussions sprinkled throughout the course of our episode discussions for TNG. What are your thoughts on if you could sum up again, what are your thoughts on this whole delay that's occurring, and how are you feeling about what you're hearing out there about Star Trek Discovery?
um, when I was at that convention that I mentioned in the last episode,
Right.
I was at a convention called UltraCon, which is where I bought those Star Trek figures. There was a local Trekkies club, and they actually had a captain's chair that you could sit on for free, and they had replicas that they had made. So it's like one of those like you know, legit fan clubs that really work hard at what they do. There was a woman dressed as Guinan. Like they have the uniforms, and they're, you know, perfectly replicated from the different shows and stuff. And
Oh, subspace frequency.
something freedom something. Who knows what that is?
Freedom.
Do you pick that up?
No, I don't pick any of those things.
Here, let me just hang it up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do pick that up. That's what you meant. Okay, sorry. Go on. So, the Star Trek Club was working really hard to present.
Right, and I spoke to a couple of the people about Discovery, and my, you know, of course, I gave my opinion, which is I wish Star Trek would go forward, and all of them actually were very excited about seeing Star Trek explore more of the history. It was
Really?
the complete opposite of what I was saying. One of them that came up to me was saying, of course he was wrong, but he was saying that this has all been written already, and it was written a while ago for another show, and they're going to do it now at last, and a lot of people were saying that there's a lot of story potential in that period, and they were actually looking forward to it. And then when I pressed them to the point of saying, yeah, but what about going forward? They just didn't really have anything to say about that. They were kind of like, well, but we know what's happened to the Klingons, and we know, but I don't know. They seemed very content with this idea of seeing Star Trek, post Enterprise, pre original series, and I spoke with at least four of them. I mean, it's just four people, but still.
Wow. Still,
Um,
that's an interesting. Is it possible that we two, you and I, have grown so old, so inflexible, that we have outlived our usefulness, Doctor?
oh wow, what a setup! What a setup! Wow.
But maybe we're out of touch with the desires of the fan base, like
They were all.
in
They
that
were, by
regard.
the way, they were our age and up.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh
I
huh.
knew you'd appreciate that reference.
Oh, absolutely. That was great.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting to find out. Again, as I've always kind of maybe it's very possible that CBS and Paramount have done the necessary research and polling, and maybe
Yeah,
this is, and it's, and maybe it is something that the fandom desires more than going forward, and that to me is surprising. It's a very surprising thing, and I certainly will do everything I can to influence people otherwise.
that's what I was doing. I was saying,
Yeah.
yeah, I understand, and I was making my argument, which is that I loved the show Enterprise. I did. I loved that show. But it was going back, and then we have the rebooted movie series, which, even though it's in a different timeline, it is still going back, and both were attempts at cashing in on the nostalgia of the original series. And I'm kind of over the nostalgia. I'm ready to move forward. I want to see beyond Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager.
Right. Well, I mean, it certainly is the difference between what's possibly a safe bet, I guess, and a gamble and a risk. And I think Star Trek is about the risk and the gamble, and again, pushing the story forward. And I could go on and on about this, which reminds me, this kind of I wonder if Star Wars hardcore Star Wars fans have a similar dilemma with Rogue One, and the Han Solo movie and things like that. What do you
Well,
think? How do you think that compares to this phenomenon of nostalgia versus going forward?
I think it's a little, well, I think it's different because, um, I mean, I'm assuming you're also including the release of the prequels into that, which is of course going backwards instead of going forward. But see, the prequels plus the movie, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, that was the story that was promised to us.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it's true.
that was the story. That was the deal.
Right, that's true. That's a good point.
Everything after that is gravy. It's extra. It's icing on the cake. And
And you're right, Gene Roddenberry. I think it's a very valid argument to make that the promise that Gene Roddenberry uh, wanted for Star Trek was to always move forward. Like it's like what you said in another discussion. He could have chosen anything he wanted to do for a new Star Trek TV series, and he chose to go 80 years into the future and start fresh, with a new crew, a new ship, all those things.
Right, and that's the creator of the show. That's the guy
Mm-hmm.
who had every excuse in the world to have played it safe. I mean, if anybody had any would have had any excuse to play it safe, it was Gene Roddenberry, because he hadn't had really much success at all with any television products after Star Trek. So, you know, to have played it safe would have been the best bet, but he didn't. He had conviction in the vision of Star Trek, and I think that that what we've seen post Deep Space Nine just hasn't been very risky at all. It just hasn't, you know.
Well, there's a lot of people that think that Star Trek Discovery will be a little edgier, and the other thing is, well, there's an argument that maybe, I mean, it's all in the future. It's even though Star Trek Discovery takes place in the past of the Star Trek universe, it's still in our future, and it's still going to be new, and it's still going to be exciting.
I know, but here's right, but well, that brings up a valid point, which is that, you know, obviously the future we're going to see in Star Trek Discovery is the future to us, but it has to be the past to everything we've seen henceforth,
Right.
which I think it's just at this point it's just too damn hard. I mean, the look of Enterprise found a good balance, but there are still things on Enterprise that look more futuristic than the original series. You get
Right.
me?
No,
In
absolutely.
terms
I
of
absolutely do.
uniforms, in terms of just everything. And you're only gonna have that visual gap increased now. So it begs the question, why even bother? Why not just keep going forward so that you take advantage of the fact that you are 80 years in the future, that you can go as high tech as you can. I mean, I look at the Kelvin universe Enterprise and how that looks, the bridge mainly, not anything else. I hate the engineering. But that bridge is like, oh my God, that thing is
And it's a
amazing.
beautiful bridge. It's true.
So, and then you look at the bridge of the Enterprise D. Like there's no comparison. You get me? Like, how can that bridge evolve into the Enterprise D? In theory, it
Right.
won't.
Well, you kind of can see that. I mean,
The Enterprise D looks
The Enterprise D bridge is
backwards.
no, it's very high concept. I'm going to argue it's got this big wooden panel behind
Oh,
the captain's chair, and also, the Enterprise D bridge does look better in later seasons when they figured out the lighting.
but you know what I mean. It just doesn't
Yeah.
look like the panels, the controls. I mean, you've got
Right.
like, almost holographic stuff going on.
Right.
The D doesn't have any of that,
Right. Right.
or
But
the E for that matter.
right. But that's why
A
we
better
get to
example is
say.
the E, actually.
But that's why Star Trek, the Kelvin movies work, because we get to say, well, it's an alternate universe, and there's valid explanations as to why everything looks the way it does.
But we won't have this for Discovery.
We don't have this for Discovery. You're right, and I want to see fucking buttons.
But you're not going to get your fucking buttons. You know that. You're not going to get the switches, the buttons, the dials, the knobs, the switches. You're not going to get that. You're not. I'm willing to bet you're not going to get that.
We'll see. We'll see. So, are you less excited now for Star Trek Discovery? More excited, or in a holding pattern? Like, how do you feel about it? Holding pattern.
I want to see a cast, and I want to see. I mean, well, it was revealed what it's about, right? It's about the Romulan war.
No,
right?
I thought that was not what it was going to be about.
Apparently, this guy, I could be wrong. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh, you're wrong. What's wrong with you?" I thought I read something that revealed by what's his name, Brian Fuller.
Brian Fuller.
Which is, you're right. I thought somebody had said that it wasn't.
My understanding was that it's an obscure event that was referenced in
right.
in Star Trek the original series, and it was not
Google it.
it was not the Romulan War. Hold on, I'm looking it up right now.
Because
Let's see here.
I thought it wasn't going to be, and now they say it is.
So we do know that ideally Brian Fuller would like to have 10 to 13 episodes. Let's see here. Boldly going where exactly? During the San Diego Comic-Con, another teaser for the series was released. This one featuring the test flight of the Discovery. No.
No, it's recent. It's like the last couple of weeks.
Well, I mean, this article is from like a week ago, so I'm trying to see if the article is called "Everything We Know About Star Trek Discovery." Added lead character's title, scriptwriter's details for 2 episodes, timeline explanation, and comments. And Fuller's comments on the length of the season. And then added also premiere date for the series and creative team's statement on the schedule change. Added details from Brian Fuller about how Discovery got its name and why the series won't focus on the captain. So we know that much. We know that the series doesn't focus on the captain. We'd spoken about that. I don't see anything, but if you find it, please enlighten us. But even still,
okay. I'm going to do it right now.
Okay, good.
On September 9th, 2016, this is from trekmovie.com. Brian Fuller reveals Balance of Terror is touchstone of Discovery story. Star Trek Discovery executive producer and showrunner Brian Fuller tweeted yesterday that a favorite episode from the original series, Balance of Terror, is a touchstone for DSC's story arc. Brian Fuller tweets, a favorite TOS episode, Balance of Terror, is a touchstone for the Star Trek Discovery story arc. Okay, I just read the same thing twice. But yeah, that's what it is. So,
well, funny enough, I just recently saw Balance of Terror. I go back to that episode over and over. So now I'm very curious to know what it is, because it's established in that episode that we don't see Romulans until that episode, because everyone on the bridge,
it's a shock that they look like Spock.
They look like Spock.
Right.
And even Spock is uncertain. He says if Romulans are descendants of Vulcans, that they are descendants from a time when Vulcans were very aggressive and emotional and so on and so forth, because he's thinking that's the only time this tribe of Vulcans could have shot off from
Vulcans, right?
Vulcan. So again, this would upset me as a fan if we see Romulans constantly, and if they're not, and if the Federation crew sees them and knows what they look like.
But they're not.
They're not
going to see them.
Are you sure?
They can't.
No,
Enterprise backs it up.
What
they
happened?
Don't see them in Enterprise.
Oh, but we see their ships, right?
We see their ships, but we never see them in Enterprise.
So how do you have a whole, like, if the story of Discovery hinges around Balance of Terror and takes place during the Romulan Wars, so is that just the backdrop? We're never going to really see a Romulan, or what's the deal?
I don't know. I mean, imagine writing a show where the two antagonists never see each other. What a challenge.
You know? That's true.
Mean, I'm not sure. I'm really unsure of how they're going to do that.
Well, I'm intrigued. So that's a plus. It says there's a headline if you search for Star Trek Discovery news on Google. Star Trek Discovery teaser news and updates. 3 days ago, George Takei would love to be in the reboot, shares ideas for his role. That's interesting. I would love to be on Star Trek Discovery.
I think they should put him on the show.
I think so too. I think every one of them should be on the show. William Shatner should play George Kirk.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
Wow.
Why not? That'd be a great role for him. Oh, Star Trek 4. That's how I could Kelvin 4.
Huh?
That'd be a fun way to bring William Shatner back into Star Trek. So we're still holding our breath for Star Trek Discovery. We're waiting for we still don't know who the cast is. But it does give me a little bit more confidence in the production value of the show that the new release date is slated for May of next year. It feels a
You were
little
right
bit.
about that.
I was right about that because I just
You
couldn't
were
fathom.
very, yeah.
I couldn't with the information available. I just couldn't fathom how you could churn out a series in such a short amount of time, even if it was something where you would have like at least a pilot and then delay the series till after the pilot, which often was done. I remember back in TV watching days, sometimes you would get a pilot for a TV show, and then it wouldn't be for another season that you got the actual show. The networks were trying to gauge the excitement based on the pilots, how the pilot for a show did.
If I may read from this article here, Balance of Terror is the famous original series episode from the first season that first introduced the Romulans. In the episode, it is noted that the Earth-Romulan conflict occurred a century before 2265. The war had been waged with atomic weapons, and the treaty, which was formalized over subspace radio, ending the war between the neutral zone.
That's from TOS. I think they go over all that.
Atomic weapons.
Very relevant, especially we're still under current day humans definitely deal with the threat of nuclear war. Well, let's go on to the last part of our updates episode, our discussions here. I want to go over, we've been getting some comments on our YouTube channel, and I think it'd be fun for me to read them. And I've already responded to a few myself, but it'd be neat to hear your response to them. Are you ready, Doctor?
I am ready. Go for it.
All right. So the oldest comment we got was for the Code of Honor. That's the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode with Lutan, who's a very kind of misogynistic character, if you remember. And one of our viewers wrote, "I just watched this episode last night and was so floored. I never thought I could hate a Next Generation episode, but I just couldn't." But I just couldn't get past the casting of black actors to play culturally backward, sexist beings. Also, when Lieutenant Yar basically says she is sexually attracted to her abductor, geesh, I have no words. Anyway, I look forward to listening to your entire conversation. Thanks for posting it.
I actually didn't watch. That was one of the episodes I didn't watch. But I do recall that episode being kind of it
is very
politically incorrect.
Yeah, and I think Galdu Scott points out on that episode that even many of the cast members have even gone so far as to disavow their association with that episode.
Really?
Yeah, they would like to have it struck from the record, so to speak. So
wow.
Yeah, and I think it's well known that the director was asked not to do it a certain tone, and he chose to do it in those tones anyway. So those things.
No way.
Yeah, it was like
that.
Yeah. If you go back and listen to the discussion for that episode, I think we go over it in there. So yeah, I do agree. The comment with the comment, and it is unfortunate that it ever made it on the air. Very sad.
Wow.
The next one.
Do we name names? Does this commentator have a name or?
I guess their
handle.
Their handle, which is Furaha Henry Jones. So thank you for your comments, and we hope to hear from you again. I'm looking through the comments list here. And on the Star Trek Beyond discussion, we had Gomik May say that on the subject of the Star Trek series, only the pilot is on TV. The rest is being streamed. No joy for this fan. And that's going back to Star Trek Discovery. That's in reference to
Oh, right.
CBS announced that they would air the pilot on television, but then you'd have to subscribe to their streaming service to see all the other episodes of Star Trek Discovery.
That
And
sucks.
yeah, and so we agreed. I agreed also at the time that that does suck. What do you think of that? Yeah, like doesn't Star Trek belong on television, and where would it be? I mean, in the landscape of television today. So I don't know. Do you have cable? Do you watch TV in your house?
No, I have. I pay for Netflix. Emma has Amazon, so I can stream Amazon Prime from her account. But in terms of television, I have rabbit ears.
So do you, do you- so I wonder, is CBS smart to do this? Because like, I mean, the rest of the world, it's going to be on Netflix, by the way. It's only going to be on the CBS access thing here in the United States. But like, is television not a viable way to get your the most audience? Is it gone? You know, like
Well, I can tell you, I personally don't no longer watch, and this is shocking. I shock myself when I say this out loud, but I no longer watch television as I used to. I don't. I've always hated commercials. When I was growing up, I would record onto VHS tapes, and I would stay up and edit out the commercials because I hated commercials, and I knew I'd
right.
be rewatching this over and over again, including Star Trek, and of course, once DVD started coming out, I just moved to DVD, and I would rather buy a show, the full season, than watch it on the air live. I mean, I would rather do that. And of course, when Netflix came about, that was really the death knell for me for television. I watch television now just for PBS. I watch the NewsHour for news, but I don't watch any dramatic. The last show that I watched on TV live was Lost.
And you would watch it every week. You would tune in when it was airing.
Right. And,
And
that was exciting.
Yeah.
I loved watching Lost. I think it was Thursday nights. At that time, my brother and his wife were still living here, and we would gather around the TV set.
So it's like a family thing.
It was a family thing, and then the next morning at work, I would go to Miss McAllister's room across from the library, and the English teachers would convene, and it would be like, "Did you see that? Did you get that reference?" And every week it was that Lost fix, and that was really the last television show that had me hooked like that. I tried to go back with the recent Brain Dead on CBS, as it so happens, but Amazon was streaming it, and I just switched to Amazon. I mean, I don't want to watch those stupid commercials. I really don't.
One thing I find interesting about the two models is one model, Game of Thrones, it promotes like discussion at the water cooler the next day. Everyone's on the same page.
Everybody's on the same page, yeah.
You're either watching Game of Thrones every week and then talking about it with your friends and family, or watching it with your friends and family, and it's like a weekly thing, and it lasts for like a number of weeks, and it's like something to do on a Saturday night or a Friday, or or Sunday, or whatever day it airs. And then the other thing is like House of Cards, which is the Netflix series. I don't know if you've watched it.
Oh yeah.
But I found myself binging it, so it was hard. I had to find someone else who saw the whole series, and then it's like weird because you're talking about the whole series and not specific episodes and what happened in specific episodes, except for the few things that you can remember. And I don't know which model do I like better. Do I like that, is CBS gonna release it so that you can binge watch it all in one session, or is it going to be
Probably
a weekly thing? So which is favorable? What do you like better, even in streaming? Do you want, like, Stranger Things, for example, which is very popular, was given to us in one one shot.
Oh my God! Can we talk about Stranger Things?
Yeah,
I
we
know
could
this
take
is.
a Stranger Things break. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh wow, that show is amazing.
It
That's the
is
best
amazing.
show. The best show I've seen in like
A
5 years.
long time.
I
Yeah,
love. Yeah.
I agree. It's phenomenal.
I actually.
I'm hoping we're talking about Star Trek the same way when it comes on.
I hope so. I watched. Well, that's a perfect example. I watched the first episode with Emma when she was down here, and then since you don't have that thing of like, oh, it's airing tonight, it's just kind of waiting for you to make the commitment. I didn't watch anything else until the Thursday where we were supposed to have the hurricane, Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole day where, I'm shuttered in and everything and not leaving the house, nothing to do, I watched the entire fracking show in one sitting,
It's a
eating
7 hour.
my ice cream.
Oh my goodness.
And wow. And I loved it. And I loved it. Emma loves the week. Like you watch, and then, like, for example, she's right now complaining about she's a big, huge Gilmore Girls. She's a Gilmore Girls fan, and they're doing a new series on Netflix. But of course, they're going to release them all at once, and she doesn't like that. She wants to watch the episode and then live with it for a while, and then go to the next one. But she knows.
But it begs. So it begs the question: can't you just manage yourself and do that on your own?
But then when you go online, you're going to see spoilers,
Right?
which is what you can't avoid. Like
Right.
if you're into, for example, if you're into Star Trek and you want to watch it week to week, but the whole thing is already online, how are you going to avoid all of the spoilery talk that's going out there, especially when it's something, I don't know, shocking or whatever? I mean, it's going to be very hard. So I don't know.
Well, a thing you brought up was that you like watching programs without commercials. What I found surprising about the CBS announcement about Star Trek Discovery is that even though you're paying to see it stream, there's going to be commercials.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm not even joking. I think that's like a legitimate thing. You should go and check out.
You're kidding me.
I think they want to put like 12 minutes of commercials and load it all at the beginning or the middle or the end.
Are
or
you fucking kidding me?
No,
Pardon my French.
It might not be true. I'm hoping it's not true. Like you, I read that somewhere.
How can you pay and get commercials? That doesn't make any sense. I'm not watching it then. I'm not going to watch it if there's commercials.
If there's commercials, that's what I thought.
No, I'm not going to watch it.
Because you're paying for the series, right? You want to see it without commercials.
I'll wait till it's on. That's a deal breaker for me.
That's very upsetting, right?
It is.
All right, so
it is. More comments.
Here's another comment. This was left on the episode discussion for Star Trek: The Naked Now, and Stephen McGarry writes, "I prefer you just show the episode rather than talk about it." So
trust us with some. Our discussions are better than some of these episodes. All right.
Well, to each their own. So I figured out that I think I figured what I wrote back to Gary was we can't show the episode because we do not have the rights to broadcast, but all of Star Trek TNG is on Netflix, and I believe you can also watch them on YouTube Red. Thanks for checking us out. So Stephen, apologies.
It's on YouTube Red.
Yeah, you can watch it on YouTube Red.
Really?
So yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
But anyways, I think what happened was, and I think this is something we talked about offline, but I'll mention it. Our titles might be misleading in that you might actually think you're going to see the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode because I've just been naming each of our discussion episodes after the episodes. I did that for what I thought was a logical reason. So yeah, we're gonna add discussion into the titles of our episodes so that hopefully future Stevens will know what they're getting involved in and not be disappointed when they realize, oh, it's just two guys talking about Star Trek. like, when they're trying to watch the episode. So sorry about that, Stephen. Um, on the Star Trek Discovery updates and news episode that I did with Mr. Sater, we got a comment that said Brian Fuller has said that the Discovery in the teaser is not the final version of that ship, which is because I think some of it is cool, but mostly I had a lot of problems with the design of the ship, and like it didn't seem to fit with the era that the show suggested it's in. To me, it's more of a movie era style design.
But but is that because of the actual look of the ship, or is it because of the production value of how it's being presented?
Well, the way it was presented looked pretty bad. It did look like a test footage, and I think that they do establish that it's test footage, so I'm okay with that. It didn't look fully rendered. It didn't even look like, you can make these ships look like models, and that's what I prefer. Like everything in Star Wars, for example, now is CG, but it still looks like a model. It looks physically there, and this looked like a video game teaser, if you will, the teaser that they put out. But in addition to that, I think the look that inspired the Discovery's design was the Ralph McQuarrie sketches for the Star Trek Phase 2, or whatever, Planet of the Gods or whatever it was. It was like a design that I think influenced Star Trek the motion picture a lot.
Yeah.
So that's what I got excited, because when I first saw the Discovery, just some of the design cues gave me the impression that it might take place. If I kind of resigned to the fact that it's going to be in the past, but I was hoping with Nick Mayer on board, it would take place as a side story in the movie era, and that made me really kind of excited, because it's at least a lot closer to the Next Generation than Enterprise was, and it's in that era. And so I was surprised when they revealed that it's actually pre TOS. So, and it just didn't seem like the Discovery looked pre TOS to me. Again, it didn't fit in my headcanon. So we got a comment.
Do you think it looks more futuristic than the Constitution class that we see in the original series?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the ship looks more advanced than that. Okay. And that's why I thought that maybe the story would center around Section 31 or some covert operations. Maybe it was a cloaking ship or something. There's something about it that maybe that would explain why. And it would herald in the next generation of Federation ships. But again, it just didn't seem correct where in the era that it takes place.
Okay.
For Star Trek Encounter at Farpoint, we got an interesting comment, which was from Eddie Jebby. He says, I have seen Encounter at Farpoint probably 2 years or 3 years ago for the first time, and it got me a little emotional. I started watching Star Trek TNG with that episode. I just want to say that thanks for your episode discussion. So that was really nice. We're very grateful for the nice comment. For the episode where Silence has lease.
Is that Nagilum?
That would be the episode with Nagilum.
Okay.
It's it's either N Zinga or Zinga Barnes writes to us and says, why was Wesley Crusher on the controls? Then after the commercial break, a black guy is in his spot. So when the alien is curious about death, naturally Haskell, that's the name of the character,
right,
dies. Then Wesley conveniently reappears on the controls after the commercial break. Even in outer space, black guys can't catch a break. Shakes my head.
It's the truth, man. It sucks.
It does suck, actually. I wrote that I agree. I want to give Star Trek the benefit of the doubt, but we have to remember that Star Trek is produced by people, and some of these people may have had antiquated, un-Star Trek-like beliefs. Shakes my head too. Now, on the one hand, that is like a.
Well, I don't think they did it on purpose.
I don't think they did it on purpose either, but
Right.
it is a very unfortunate coincidence, because as we know right now, there's a lot of
Hmm.
discussion going on behind the Black Lives Matters movement, and you know, I certainly think that it is time that this country wake up to the reality that our forefathers created a terrible situation for many people when they endorsed and allowed slavery to continue for as long as it did. People were uprooted from their homes, their families brought to this country, and made to serve, forcibly, to do all kinds of things, mostly production of tobacco and other things that kind of fueled the wealth of this country. And now we have
Excuse me.
a and some would argue that that has never stopped. It has just been commuted from one kind of slavery to another kind of slavery, and our prison systems are overflowing. And why is it that at this point it's hard to argue, all the old discussions, all those old racist reasons for why Black people are in jail don't fly anymore, because we know there's no difference between a Black person, an Asian person, an Anglo person. We're all humans. We're all capable of the same intelligence, and we all have the same resources available to. We should all have the same resources available to us, but for some reason a certain population is being oppressed, and that needs to be answered for and corrected, and it needs to be done right now. There's no more excuses.
Damn straight.
So yeah. But yeah,
For
as far as
Haskell,
the Star
man.
Trek,
For Haskell.
I know, for Haskell.
Mhm.
But as far as the Star Trek episode is concerned, well, I think that Miss Barnes meant her comment with a little bit of humor. Because
No,
she
but
meant
it's
it.
it's true. There isn't there an old
Yeah.
joke about in horror movies, 80s horror movies, the black guy always gets killed first or something like that.
Oh,
And
is that right? I don't remember.
yeah,
I don't remember
I
that.
think one of the Scream movies mentions that or something. So
Okay, so
I
yeah, there
mean,
are
yeah, so it's kind of
these
like
recurring themes. Yeah.
right, because the black actor is not going to be the main actor, of course. It's going to be the white guy. So
Okay, I get it.
obviously, the first victim's going to be the black guy. So it's
Right,
that kind of thing.
or the Asian actor,
Or
or the woman.
well, if you even get an
Yeah.
Asian actor, it's only black or white. Remember, for a lot of these things, I mean, you're lucky
Well,
if you get an Asian or yeah, or Hispanic.
We talked about this on Drunk Space Nine, actually, which is interesting. Currently, there's another discussion going on where, uh, there's a lot of like adaptations of comic books or novels that are being made into films,
Uh-oh.
and when they should be cast, like for example, well, let's talk about Doctor Strange for a second, right? Isn't the oldest one, or whatever that character is
The
called,
ancient one.
the ancient one?
Yeah, that was
Isn't
wrong. That was wrong. They should have cast an Asian. They cast
person in the
Tilda.
role?
Yeah, they cast Tilda
Which
Swinton.
she's a remarkable actress, and she looks remarkable.
Yeah, but it should have been an Asian actor. There's no reason why. I think George Takei articulated it. It's like they're so, from the beginning, it's always been an Asian character. You're gonna take that away from us too? I mean, from the beginning, it's always been an Asian character. Why do you gotta? Yeah, that's BS.
And then I think it's called Evangelion or something like
Neon
that.
Genesis, yeah, Scarlett Johansson. They cast.
What are your thoughts about that one?
It should have been an Asian.
Same
Absolutely,
thing.
same thing.
So
Same
this is
thing.
something that I think is really important, and again, we have enough talent pool. That's not even an argument
Well,
anymore.
the argument is bankability, because look at that movie with Matt Damon where he's saving the Great Wall of China, and they have Matt Damon in it because they need a star. And there's no, I mean, outside of Jackie Chan, there's really no Asian star. I don't know if Jackie Chan is Chinese or Japanese, I have to confess. I don't watch Jackie Chan. But there's really no huge Asian stars of that could headline a major blockbuster movie. But if you look at it and it just doesn't make sense, like what the hell is Matt Damon doing?
Well, it's
In
like Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai.
oh,
You
but
know,
that was
but
explained though. That was
that is a
explained,
good
and
story. That's
it
true.
was part of the story that he is
Mhm.
a man out of in a different culture.
That's true. You're right. I'll give him that.
So
That's true.
right, but yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of awkward, and um, now my argument is, well, how else are you going to make stars of
Right.
who are of different cultures or whatever, unless you put them in the movies. I mean, in the old days of Hollywood, they would run a gamble, and they would say, you know what, put this guy in there. Let's see if he can cut it, and or put her in it, and let's see what we can do. So, I mean, the
And
doctors. Yeah, go ahead.
And why can't a film be marketed to, why can't a major Hollywood film be marketed to an Asian audience and cast? There are huge stars in Asia. There are
Mhm.
actors. There is actors in India that are huge too. And all the countries of the world have their actors that are huge. And so there's no reason why you can't primarily market a film to that audience and cast, especially a film that comes from that audience, like the Evangelion series that's gained popularity in the United States, but it's even more popular in Asia, if my understanding is correct.
Well, you know what series actually uses this pretty well is the Bond series. If you look at the James Bond movies, they will cast selectively in terms of like the supporting cast. They'll get people from who are up and coming stars or already established stars in other countries
Oh, I've noticed that.
in which the movie takes place, and then in the marketing in that country they'll capitalize on such and such actor whom we don't know, but the people in, let's say, in Russia recognize, or in
You're right.
Africa or
Bravo
whatever.
to bravo to the James Bond series for doing something bold, and it's a very
Yeah, they've been
successful.
doing that for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very successful
Hmm.
series. So yeah,
Yeah.
great point, Miss Barnes. Thank you very much. We'd love to know how to pronounce your name, so if you could let us know, that would be great. I don't know if you'll hear this. Um, we have a comment for the episode. What is it called? Darn it, my terrible memory. Hold on. Um, oh yeah, too short a season. We have a comment for the episode "Too Short a Season," and this is from Richard Roy number 2. And he says, the summary was okay, but I didn't take the same emphasis from it. My thoughts evolved around the folly of attempting to balance hostilities, perhaps an extension of the idea of the prime directive. We just had a really lengthy conversation about the prime directive. I see so many actual interferences in the process of other countries and another's attempts to impose their ideals on others as though they were the diviners of what is right and wrong. I didn't get the impression the episode was about immortality, but what lengths we'll go to get it right, quote unquote. I thought he did get it right. He wanted to atone for his sins. He wanted to pay the price for extending the war and suffering as long as he did by attempting to balance the powers. He was willing to go through the pain and suffering that he thought he deserved if it could end the suffering. It's possible that the director may have allowed that part of it to recede too much, yet I did get that message. Is it me? And I responded, no, not just you. I see it now too. Great to hear your thoughts and thanks for taking the time to share. I guess my own personal obsession with extending life caused me to focus on those cues most. Would love to hear more of your thoughts on TNG. Thank you. And then the discussion goes on. Richard responds and says, oh, good. I thought maybe I was reading too much into it. Thanks for confirming. I understand there can be multiple themes going on in a show. I often find myself exploring good ones several times because I don't always get it all at once. I'm not that quick. I'm not the quickest wit. I love Star Trek TNG for its explorations on different themes. I know some focus on the science, and often I can miss it. I still have difficulty with the idea of time travel, so I basically regard it as a useful tool to explore human relationships and prejudice by thrusting them into a position they may not otherwise be in. Science fiction seems to use alien beings to advantage in exploring racial divides without triggering offenses from different groups. Another episode that stuck in my mind that I
Hmm.
particularly enjoyed was The Measure of a Man, which we'll get to in season 2, episode 9. Great, great observations by Richard Roy, number 2.
Oh yeah, yeah.
um,
That's a great. That's somebody who's actually listening to us. Wow.
Yeah, and Richard Roy too. You're welcome to come on the show. We'd love to have you on. But
Yeah.
he brings up a great point about that episode. There is that other perspective that Admiral Jameson may have just been hit. It was living longer was inconsequential to him. It was in service of correcting his mistake.
I know, and I would agree with that, except, and I don't want to just, I don't like, I don't want to just, I mean, we're entitled to our opinion, but remember, he had the elixir also for his wife,
Oh, that's true.
and and he did. There was a scene where he did, when she's like shocked at what's going on, and he's explaining what he's done. He said that his original plan was to, for the both of them to live essentially forever or whatever,
Or just extended life.
together, or just extended life together. But then he ended up taking both. So it could, so in a way, maybe we have both. The plan was originally just to extend the life, but then maybe what the commenter is speaking about, that took over, that drive took over, and he realized that
What he needed to do anything he could to correct this wrong that he
to correct this wrong. So yes, I believe he's right to that extent. But originally it was to the
to
both
extend
of
his
them,
life. That's right.
right?
I
So
do
it's
remember
a
that.
little bit of both, I think. But yeah, it's a very valid point. I don't think we covered that aspect of it too much in our discussion. So
No, we
I'm glad
didn't. Yeah.
he brought it up. That's a good point. Very good point. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and also I think he's spot on about how science fiction can ease the discussion about racial divides
Mm-hmm.
by providing
Sure.
examples of us not agreeing with aliens rather than like us not agreeing with Russians or like things like that. Whereas
Right.
a show like that could cause political tensions on our planet. Star Trek is free of that, yet thought provoking on all sides. So I think that's an interesting thing.
Right.
Well, that wraps up all the comments that
Cool.
we had. That was cool, and I guess that puts an end to our discussion about our captain's log. Our
Excellent.
updates, yeah. Well, Doctor, I think it's well past your bedtime, and I need to get out
Yeah.
and explore my surroundings a little bit.
All right. Well, Mugatu and I then wish you live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. Peace in our time. Very relevant.
Mhm.
And we'll see you next time.
All right.